Good morning! It's Wednesday. What are we doing? It's Wednesday. What are we doing here? It's Wednesday. It is our new time for block of the month. It's a new month. It's a new block. It's a new quilt. It's going to be beautiful. It's this creeping in here. Few things to show you. Hello, are you all well? By the way, so launched into that a bit. Jane's here, waiting in the wings, jumping at the bit. And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. And Jane is going to show us this. So, Jane, for the next few months, has created sort of mini quilts, I think it's fair to say. And whether she demos them or one or other of us will demo them for you each month. And this month it's going to be Jane. Because in terms of subscription, that will be set up by the end of the show, fingers crossed. And the way it is going to work is when you subscribe, we kind of need to know how many of you want to subscribe. And as soon as you subscribe, we will get that fabric out for you for next month. So you're always a month ahead payment wise, and then we know where we stand with how much fabric. So we have bought in as much fabric as we think we need. If we go over that number, then we'll have a look at it again. But for now, we have got as many subscriptions as we think that we need, given the last quilt. Yes, we've worked on those kind of numbers. And so we will get those sent out for you for block 1 and the instructions ready to quilt along with Jane next month. The day will be slightly different because I'm at Hochanda, and that had already been agreed before everybody said, actually, we want the first Wednesday of every month. But that's the only one. I won't book anything else in. But you will get plenty of notice on Facebook and all those other avenues. Josh is just finishing off putting the subscription on our website, so don't panic. We're going to look at this quilt first. Another note, lots of you loving the panda, and for a joke, because we were joking about having a purple panda because of the black, white and grey fabric shortage, I put him on purple, and actually he looks really great on purple. He looks really great on purple. He's not finished or anything, he's literally just stuck on. But that's a metre of the purple batik, and if you too would like a purple panda, then that fabric is on the website as a metre piece for you to buy. I think we might have even called it panda purple. I mean, yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? This is the quilt. A smidgen of it, the rest of it is off shot. That is the quilt that we are doing for the block of the month. So when we've finished working with this one, we'll oof that one along so you can see the quilt that you're actually going to be making with our brand new block of the month. Do we have a proper name for it now, Jane?
We've called it Sea Storm. It's sort of
Sea Storm. There we go. Perfect.
It's lovely.
Perfect. Do you want to see a close-up of what this is? I love this. Sea Storm version 3. Version 3. This is where we're sticking at, version 3. So this is the... Whoop. I love that it's my own camera and I still can't get it right. How long have I been doing this now? And it's the detailing even in those corners. There we go. So, when you subscribe, and we'll talk about this again in more detail, but when you subscribe, you will be subscribing for 8 months, and it's one of those things that if you are going to subscribe, then you see it through to the end, because there will be some months, we kind of have to do it on trust. There'll be some months where you will have received more fabric than you've already paid for, but it evens out by the end. So if you join up, that's why we're saying if you join up today, then it's for the full 8 months. If you don't want to do that, then whatever fabric we have left over will go into individual kits, and each month the instructions will be sold individually. So if you've got your own fabric, you want to do it in another colourway. I know that blue, I know one person that doesn't like blue. Strange. And even then, I am converting them slowly. But if, say, you wanted to do it in hot reds or something like that, then you absolutely can, because you can get the instructions. Or if you've got children and maybe you're doing one for one, one for another, you want to do them same but different, then you can get the instructions and then add your own fabrics. But I want to say 14 different colours in there.
15.
15! Look at that, you see. Undersell, over deliver. There we go. Oh, hang on, what's Josh said? He sent me a message. I never know if that's good or bad when someone sends me a message. Oh, we need some information. I'm going to give him the information he needs, and I'm going to hand over. Oh, I need to take my pressy buttony bits, don't I? To Jane, who, oops. Oh. There's a yellow taxi off the end of the desk.
Oh no.
Not a big one, it's fine. That's it. What is a yellow taxi doing in here? It's the joy of children.
It's a family home.
It is, yeah, there you go. Right, I'm going to leave you with the yellow taxi. I'm going to go that way. We shall not high five as we go. See you in a bit, guys. And I'll leave you in Jane's capable hands. Oh, the cat sat on my chair and shed fur.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning, good morning. Right, we're going to do the star tile quilt, aren't we?
Yes.
Using the fabulous kitty cornered Creative Grids ruler.
It's a good one, but you don't have to have the ruler.
You don't have to have the ruler, because I know for some people it's a considered purchase, but let me tell you, it makes life so much easier. I have included in the pattern template sheet, so if you want to cut it out with template plastic and do it that method, or on the other side of here we have the foundation pieced version. You'll need to print off several of these sheets, it's all in the instructions, but you can do it foundation pieced as well, because some of us like foundation piecing despite what everybody says.
Give it a good press there, Jane.
Yeah,
Go on.
I love foundation paper piecing. It's how I learned to do patchwork. So to me, it's just second nature. But I know that some people find it difficult because you are sewing.
It's the first one.
Yeah.
When you get past the first one.
Yeah, because you're sewing upside down and back to front.
Yeah.
And I do find that my left-handed students pick it up quicker
Really?
than my right-handed students, which fascinates me. But yeah, I love foundation paper piecing. I find it straightforward, but I know some people do find it awkward. So you've got all the options there. You've got templates, foundation paper piece templates, and I do recommend getting the Kitty Corner Creative Grid if you can, because it does make life easier. The ruler lets you make 1-inch blocks. Look at those, they're so tiny.
Oh, that's itty biddly.
Right up to 6-inch.
Do you know what I want to do with that ruler? And I just need to have the time to sit down and work out the measurements. I want to do a peacock quilt.
Ooh.
And do all those different size blocks.
Yes, making it. Yeah, I can see it.
And I really want to do it, but I have no idea how to actually work it out. I'm not that grown up yet.
So the instructions with the Creative Grids, as always, are fully comprehensive as to the method of using the ruler. Everything you need to know, from the amount of fabric you start, the starting size of your pieces, because you start with squares and rectangles, right through to the method and which bit of the ruler you need to use.
Did you find it easy to work with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, because before, if ever I've done this block before, I've either done it with templates, which with templates, when you've tracing them out yourself, if you haven't bought a pre-cut template, there's always that little error, with thickness of pen and scissor line, where you cut on the line, outside the line, inside the line. So they don't always go together as well as you'd like. And I've always done foundation paper piecing, which, as I say, I love foundation paper piecing, but it can be laborious because you've got to then pull all the papers out afterwards. Although I don't always use paper, I sometimes transfer my foundation template onto lightweight interfacing, and then I leave it in.
Controversial.
Controversial. Leave it in, don't bother tearing it away. It just adds another layer to the quilt.
You could do it on a wash away.
Yeah, you could, definitely. Yeah, you could do it on a wash away. I never thought that.
Well, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
Jane,
of course,
you've peaked.
that's it. Bye, folks.
You can relax now. Wow.
And if you've got one of the printers that just goes straight through, doesn't flip your paper around.
Oh, yeah.
You can back your interfacing with freezer paper.
Yeah.
And print it straight on to the interfacing.
Oh, no, come on.
It's amazing.
That's a show just in itself.
Yes. All the things you can do. I started making every size that you could do. Got a bit carried away because I loved it, but then ran out of fabric. And that's another story, because I've had 2 phone calls to Natasha going, oh, can you send me some more fabric? Because I cut it wrong.
And I'm not in the country, so no.
Yes. Sorry, I'm on holiday. Fancy. This quilt that we've got here is actually slightly smaller than the pattern, just in so much as the borders. The borders are going to be wider in the pattern. They're the same width as the block, which I like to do when I'm making a quilt. I like to have my borders the same width as my blocks or my units. So you're going to get a slightly bigger quilt when you make yours. I don't know what the finished size is. I thought I'd written it on, but I haven't, I don't think. It's about 42 by 32. Yeah-ish. Nice throw over the back of your chair, or even a floor quilt for a baby. If you like that style, you could do it in different colours. We've got 2 kits, haven't we? The one that you showed on Monday.
Yes.
And then you found this absolutely gorgeous fabric, which I was like, why didn't you show me that one before? This one, look at this.
Oh, it hadn't arrived.
Yes.
That's what soz, Jane.
And I was just like, oh my life, I love this. Look at that. I think my mum would like this fabric. She's a very psychedelic daisy person.
It reminded me of Austin Powers.
Yes. So I did a little bit of fussy cutting with the first quilt as well as this one. But I'm thinking, when you get your fabric, you get 1.5 meters of the pattern. You will need to have, for your borders, I think the longest border is 41.5. So if you cut your piece of fabric at 41.5, you could then fussy cut your borders. And this one here just happens to be, let me just check it before I say anything. Yes, just happens to be 2.5 inches, which would do this inch border here. So if you can imagine that swirly border stripe, that would be quite exciting. And the width of the fabric, I think you'd get enough for your borders. I think you would, because I think there's 4 stripes. Yeah, there's 3 of the main, this one, but there's definitely 4 of those stripes running through it. So, you can have a real play. And that's the beauty. When you've got a big pattern like this, when you start cutting it, fussy cutting it, or cutting it into stripes, you can get a completely different effect. I just love this. I love the colours in this. I love the colours in the tiled one as well, but I think I like this one more. Okay, right, I'm going to demonstrate making the block with the kitty corner ruler. I did fussy cutting, template plastic, just cut myself a 4.5 inch template, just so I can position it and see through it, and then I know that I've got the fabric where I want it to go in a certain piece of fabric. So I've put a little X marks a spot for the middle on there, just so that I can line it up. So with the tile, I call it the tile fabric, I don't think that's its name. I don't know, I've been calling it tile fabric. It's Carnaby Street something,
It is Carnaby Street.
I don't know what it's called.
I don't know, because it doesn't actually say it on the selvage. It just says that it's Carnaby Street. It doesn't give the actual individual one. I know Emma looked it up.
You can, I don't know if you can see, but there's like this piece here, and then obviously this bit that I've used to cut mine out with. And I lined up my X marks the spot in the middle of there and cut round so that I would get that full piece. And when I showed it to Glenn, he was like, oh my gosh, that looks like an Indian temple type pattern. It reminded him of Indian mosaic type.
Yeah, mandala-y type.
Yeah. But I could imagine that if you chose this square and picked out the green in your star, you'd get another look completely. And that's the beauty of fussy cutting. You can develop a completely different look of in your quilt. It looks like you've got two different fabrics. So you could alternate with that one and that one, whatever you fancy doing. This one, I've highlighted the stripe because I quite like the effect of that swirly. So to fussy cut, you just place your template over where you fancy your pattern to highlight. And on this one, there just so happens here to be a sort of line where the colour changes. So I lined up my cross on that line along the stripe. On the line. So just draw around your template and you can cut it out with scissors or rotary cutter. Put your ruler on the line and rotary cut it, whatever you find easier. Sometimes when you're rotary cutting, fussy cutting, you end up wasting a little bit more fabric than you want to because you have to cut past the line.
Yes.
So you can cut into bits that you might want to use. So you might find it easier to cut it with scissors. Just give you that option. But obviously rotary cutting is more accurate and quicker. So we'll just do that. Just working our way around, lining the ruler up with the marked line, cutting it through.
Now, you see, isn't this interesting? Because when you did this, I had sort of assumed that the flowers would end up being in the tiles.
Which you could do.
Which you could do, but you've got, and I thought, oh, that wiggly bit would end up being used on that border.
Yes. Which again, you can still do it.
Yeah.
Because we've been
it's a
generous with the fabric because of the option of fussy cutting. If you just cut it straight like we would from width of fabric into 4.5 inch strips and cut it up to make the squares that go against the star, you get different bits of fabric, which again will give you a nice effect.
Yeah.
I like a little bit of uniformity because I'm a bit like that, I think. Who said I was a control freak? How dare you?
No one said that, Jane. No one that we can hear. Michaela says it's wet and windy in Manchester.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and
it's a bit overcast here, but the sun's still out.
Yeah.
It was beautiful earlier.
And Laurie says that she's looking forward to your demos because they're always great.
Oh, thank you.
And Lisa says, morning ladies. We didn't do our roll call this morning, so he was here. Julia, morning from a sunny but windy North Cambridgeshire. Julia, the purple is, I'm blaming you partly for that. Val says it's dreary and spitting here in Neath. Good job she can watch us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good excuse for staying in, isn't it, and doing some sewing when it's a bit blue.
Yeah. Linda says that she's loving the blue quilt and in awe of what's to come.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's going to be step by step, isn't it? So
this is the thing, and you'll make each block, and each block isn't necessarily anything spectacular. No. We're going to, with the first block of the month that we did, we visited the basic skills. Now we're stepping it up slightly. We've got more seams, but the units are no different than we learnt in the other. We're just using the same units but making up different blocks. We're just stepping it up a little bit, making it slightly more complicated, but on this quilt we're looking at how when you combine blocks you get a bigger effect.
Oh, it's stunning.
There is a sort of circle going on there when you look at it from a distance.
It's beautiful.
It's a bit like a medallion quilt. I couldn't think of the word then.
Now, Rachel says of the quilt that you are making now, could you please repeat which creative grid we've used? It's the Kitty Cornered.
It's the Kitty Cornered ruler.
I have a feeling you might already have that one, Rachel. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I don't want to turn it up because it might...
If we are talking creative grids, I still have some of the face covering, it's called face mask, template from Creative Grids. I've still got about 40 of those left.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
So if you want those, look on the website because they are there.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to demonstrate making this star using this ruler.
Okay.
So we've made 14 of these blocks to make this quilt. Have I said 14? 1, 2.
How many should there have
3,
been?
4.
That's
5,
the other question.
6, no, 7. Sorry, 7 blocks with this quilt. We need 14 of these squares. That's where I've got 14 from. We need 14 of these squares. So fussy cut or just cut it as it comes, 14 of these ones. We've got to make 14 of these. So you will need 28 orange and 28 pink. Clear as mud so far.
We're all good. We're all good.
So, yeah, those are the units that we're making. 28 of those, 28 of those. So, it's all the instructions are actually on the ruler. You've got your instruction sheet, which I recommend when you buy a creative grid ruler, you store them together. Don't ever let that disappear.
Never let that disappear. I put a quilter's clip over it or a bulldog clip or something.
Yeah, just hold it together or, you know, put it in a bag with the instructions with it. Because sometimes we're very inclined, aren't we, to be in our excitement just to throw all the packaging away.
But
never, this is really,
never with that.
Really good to have. But let's say, you know, it disappears for some reason. Everything is on here. Which is typical of creative grids. They make life as easy as possible, don't they?
They do, and also they have a very strong YouTube presence, so you can always watch.
You've got the QR, not on here. It's not on there, but it's on there. You've got that QR code as well, haven't you?
But if you just search in YouTube, it will come up, even if you don't have a QR reader. And also, you've demoed it, I've demoed it. There's lots out there.
Yeah.
But just don't throw it away. It's simple as that.
Just the answer is don't throw it away.
Oh, we're bossy, aren't we, Jane, this morning?
If you're going to do it properly. Okay, so we need to have these units. We've got 4.5 inch squares, which are going to be 4 inch finished. So this is made up of 4 blocks, 4 units into that block. They need to be 2 inch finished. 2 inch, 2 inch makes 4 inch finished. Mm-hmm. This is where I cut my fabric wrong, because I went, oh yeah, I need 4 inch blocks, I'll do enough for 4 inches. I followed the 4 inch finished, because I'm an idiot. And I was like, after I cut it all, I was like, what are you doing? That's too big. I was just having one of those moments. We all have them. We think we know.
Oh, Jane, you should have seen my show on Monday. It was 2 hours of it.
Oh, we're just human. We're just normal people. We have those days.
And then we buy more fabric.
And then we say, Natasha, can you send me some more fabric?
So happily, you made that mistake so we don't have
That's it. I make all the mistakes so you don't have to.
It was almost like charity work.
Yeah. Yeah. My sacrifice to you is my idiocy. Yeah. So, as I say, all the instruction on here. Unit A will form what I'm calling the kite shape. This shape here, which makes the point of your star. So Unit A, you look down this side here, finish block size, look for the 2 inch, go across there, you cut a 3 inch square. If I bring
we can.
If I put my finger behind it, we'll see the, let me see. Maybe not. Just leave that finger there. We want.
Why don't you pop the back of?
We got some.
This one. There you go. That'll do it.
That's better. So, Unit A, finished block size 2. So you need to cut 2 3 inch squares. So I have cut. You will need to cut 28 pink and 28 orange.
Say it quickly, Jane. Doesn't sound so bad.
Doesn't sound
I
so
like
bad.
to think that's getting good value for money out of your ruler.
Yes.
Right.
Well, you're really going to use it, aren't you?
Yes.
So you do that of your colours that you want your kite shape to be. So I wanted an orange one and a pink one. Then you go, turn your ruler around, unit B. Finish block size, 2 inches. You need to cut 2.5 by 3.25 inch rectangles. I have 2 here in the yellow. That's your background. So you can choose it to be a different colour. If you wanted to have the pink and the yellow into your stars and then have the orange, the yellow, the orange as the background, you can. So that's that. So once you've cut your shapes, we then start looking at the ruler. Instructions, as I say, are all in here. You can follow it. You take your square and you fold it in half to form a triangle. Finger press that down. You might want to take it to the iron if you're feeling less sure, you know, if you're trying it for the first time, but I found finger pressing it was fine. You have got on here a dotted line. Can we take that up to the... Turn it round. It says cutting A units. Fold square diagonally and place fold on this line. That line there. So we'll do that. We place that dashed line onto the fold, making sure that the corner of the ruler is in the corner of the square at the top. Don't go all gung-ho and think, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing, and slide it up halfway and then you realise that you've cut your shape wrong. I make the mistake so you don't have to. It's been a challenge. So yeah, cut that up and away. You've got quite a bit of wastage there, which I'm sure you'll use for something. And that makes your kite shape. Where are we? Here we are. That makes your kite shape. So you're going to do that with all your squares. So I'll just do that again with the orange one. Fold it in half diagonally, finger pressing it. When you're finger pressing, be careful that you don't pull it, because obviously you're on a bias there and you don't want to stretch your fabric. Place the ruler on that dashed line, making sure the ruler is up in the corner point. Cut that away, and there's your kite shapes or your star points. We then turn the ruler around again. Just go close with that, Natasha. You've got cutting B units. Align left side to the left side of the rectangles. This line here, it's a solid line, and the corner has got a nub off it. So when you get your ruler, don't think it's broken and we've lost some of the corner, it's meant to be. So I've placed, if you've got fabric with a right and a wrong side, you want to place your fabric right sides together. But with this salt batik, there isn't really a wrong and a right side.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's just easy to use. So we line up that straight edge there, that straight line that goes, it's not diagonally, but it goes across at an angle. And we line up that nubbed bit with the top of the rectangle. And we cut it along the edge of the ruler. You now have 2 rectangles, well, triangular shapes. You're now, and this is the bit that I thought, this is just Rachel all over, isn't it, when she designs the rulers? It was designed by somebody else. It was designed by Deb Heatherly.
But she's a major US quilter. She
Yes.
really knows her stuff.
I was going to say, this has been designed to think of everything.
You're
You're
going
going
to keep
to
spinning
see-
it. That's the really nice
you
thing.
turn your ruler around and you'll see this bit that says, can we see that on the close up?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Over there, yeah. It says B, clip corner of B unit. And you've got a line here and a line here that you line up with the base of your triangle and the sloping side, so that those lines are on that edge. And you just take off the point of that bottom rectangle.
Everything is thought of.
Can I take that close and show?
Yeah, of course you can.
So that was the rectangle before, so you can see the point, and then that's it when you cut the point off. And you might be thinking, well, why on earth do you need to do that? But it really helps put your units together.
It's the difference, isn't it, of accuracy?
Yes.
And that's
what
it
helps you. I'm going to show you in a minute. It helps you align the pieces so that you know that they're going to fit, it's going to work. So this is what I say when you've got everything on this ruler to make this unit that, you know, it's faultless. So I'm just going to do that on the other side of the rectangles, triangles. So you've got your kite shapes, and you will now have 2 rectangular triangles that go either side of your triangle, like so.
They look like tulips, don't they?
They do.
They're beautiful.
So this beautifully designed, that little nub then lines up with the short side of the kite shape. And if we go in close, Natasha, you can see that. Nice. Can you see?
Yes.
It's cut exactly at the right angle to fit in there, so that you know that this triangle is lined up in exactly the right place to now sew along with your 1/4 inch and get it in the right place. And in the instructions it says for the first side you put the triangle on the top of the kite shape and you sew it down with your 1/4 inch seam .
Oh, did you put the feed dogs back up? I suddenly thought, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
No, I sussed
I
it.
forgot.
I sussed it out. So we're now going to press that
Sorry.
away towards that triangle, away from the centre kite shape. And you can see that that edge, we go close again.
Of course we can, look at
Because
that.
we were able to line it up, that edge perfectly straight along there. So we take the next rectangle and we line that up again onto the front, lining up the nubbed bit there, and we turn it over this time and we're going to sew on the side with the kite shape facing upwards. And this is so that you're never going to have to sew against that small point bit there which can distort it. Come on. Have we lost contact?
I don't know, what's it, is this, it's telling you anything?
It's not telling me anything. That's it, we're good to go.
Oh yeah, yeah, so it's got 2 different levels of foot down.
So we've sewn on that side this time, but again, we'll flip it over and we just press it away from that middle star. So you've now got that shape, but you've got all of this going on here, this extra bit. And this is where the ruler comes into its own again. On your ruler, you have got the trim part. And the first instance, I don't know if we can see it, let me just try and get it in the right orientation. It says in that corner trim. There we go. and there's a little V shape there with a diagonal line running through it. This little V shape fits into that little V on your square, and you take the diagonal line so it goes through the middle of your kite shape.
And comes out the tip, doesn't it?
At the top there.
Yeah.
So the diagonal line comes out at that point there, and that little V sits on the bottom of the kite shape. And so then, once you've got that lined up, you trim that edge away. It's just a slither really, and you do have to go against it's not, but take your time, be careful. And then you flip that square round so that the bottom, the thin point is on your left hand side, and on the ruler here you've got the 2-inch mark there. And you are now, if I take the square, you're going to line that up with the edge that you've just cut there, and you trim this side off. And you might think, well, that's quite a bit of fabric you're trimming off there, but it means that you are getting an
Makes such a difference.
An exact unit. So that's your unit finished. And it's 2-inch, and the mark on there is 2-inch, and that's 2-inch finished. So if you then go to your ruler and you put it on and you think, hang on, that's too big, it's 2.5, because it's taken into account your seam allowance. So you don't have to it's taken the maths away basically.
I like that.
You're just following the ruler. So you don't have to think about adding seam allowances or anything like that. So I'm just going to make this one, following exactly the same way, because when you do that rectangle, you in effect cut yourself 2 background pieces, which is why in the instructions it tells you to cut 2 squares for each unit. So you cut 2 squares and 2 rectangles, and it makes, because it takes into account the reverse.
No, it does.
Of
it's
the
very
rectangle,
clever.
triangle part. So you're in effect making 2 units at a time with the ruler.
Which speeds everything up?
It certainly does.
When you've got
And
20 something of each colour
28
to
to
do.
make. Well, if you've got 28 of each, I think there's 56 units altogether.
I did do a double take when I read that in the instructions.
Yeah, it's like, what? How many?
But then I realised it's because there's 4 for each little block.
4 in each block.
Yeah. That was what I was like, hang on a minute.
There's 4 in each star block, but in each block there's 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so
which is why it's a mini quilt and not a big one.
But really worth it. And if you wanted
could scale
to size it up,
you could scale it up because the ruler lets you make.
What's the top size?
The top size is 6 inches, so it would let you make a 12-inch block.
That's pretty awesome.
So you could, if you wanted to, you could make 1 block like that and 1 block with your pattern. Boom. 12-inch block, 12-inch square of pattern would make a really dramatic, beautiful quilt. So we're just going to trim this.
Now your colours for this, actually, I've just realised, with the kits that we've put together, we've put in a teal.
Oh, lovely.
Rather than the yellow. So when you get yours, you will have a teal rather than a yellow.
Is there an orange in there?
Yeah, so there's an orange. Oh, hang on, I'll go and get one. I did show, and it shows you on the website which one.
It would work beautifully either way. You might want to just buy yourself some yellow to go with, because I mean there's yellow in there.
So yeah, we went with teal, orange and raspberry.
Nice.
I'll go and show it. Hang on, let me
I
go.
would use the orange as the background fabric.
Would you?
And use the teal and the fuchsia. But
Let me
play
go.
with it and have a look and see what it looks like.
Let me go grab it. That's
So,
the way to do it.
We've got the 4 units now, and we're going to just align those together like that. You may want to pin it at this point, just to make sure that you've got those lined up. Just put a pin in through that seam line there so they don't move, because with this method you're not able to nestle seams.
There you go. They're the fabrics that come with it.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, how rich are they?
Aren't they gorgeous?
So if you put those two together and had the orange as your background, or you could put those two together and have the teal as the background. That's going to be really rich.
Well, we thought then people had the choice of, if they love yellow, then they've got one choice to go for, and if they wanted warmer, richer tones,
Look
then
at
they've
those.
got. Do you want to show them up by the machine?
They're gorgeous. Perfect.
It's one tone different to the orange that you've got. I didn't realise that, because of course you were going to demo with the other fabric, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's
It's not-
my
well,
fault.
If I cut it properly in the first place, I'd have had spare. There we go. So we've joined 2 star triangle diamond kitty cornered shapes together, orange and pink, and we're going to do the same with the other 2. Just aligning your seams up. Sometimes I found that there was a little discrepancy in the seam allowance, but it wasn't never more than 6/8 of an inch, so I just went with aligning up the seams and making scant seams to make it fit, so that the points fitted better together. Just have to remember which one seam I'm sewing down, because otherwise I'll just...
Glad somebody else does that.
Otherwise we'll end up with them the same way. It isn't difficult. If you sew them all the same way, you'll be right. Just make sure that they are sewn the same way, and then you'll get that alignment, so that when you've got the 2, and I press the seam towards the pink, which is the same on both, when you put them together, you'll get that, because you twist one round, you'll get it making the alternate star shape. And then of course your seams will nestle together. And just again, line the seams up.
Oh,
here.
I thought you were going back to the machine.
Sorry.
Hang on.
Just lining those bits up there. Making sure that they sit squarely together. People that know me know I'm not great for pinning stuff. I tend to just slam things together and do it. But I think with this one, just take your time a little bit and take the time to align the seams, because you haven't got that opportunity to nestle with this. If you think about it, you could press one towards the kite shape, but I think follow the instructions in the first instance just to get yourself familiar with it, and then you can start messing about with moving seams, pressing seams one way and the other.
Moving things
around. You can unpick that little bit in the middle, just so that you can twizzle the middle bit and get your seams to lie flatter.
Now, Joanna has a question about the quilt subscription.
Yes.
So the subscription we've managed to get down to $19.99 a month.
Yes.
That includes everything for the quilt over the 8 months, apart from your wadding and your backing, just because we felt that was quite a personal preference.
Yeah, and I think people like different waddings, don't they? And there's so many different types of wadding that you can choose from, and everybody has their preference, I think.
Yeah.
And I think, generally speaking, rule of thumb, when you buy a kit, you don't expect it to have the wadding and the backing in. Most quilters expect to buy a kit, front. They'll get the front and the binding.
Yeah, which is what you're getting here. And the quilt is going to be a big one.
Yes. It's 75 by 75 square.
So actually, I think that's a great price for that. And you will always have the instructions to come back to.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we've made the block, 4-star block. We're then going to, pretty much the same way as we did with the units, we're going to sew a plain square and a star square together. Making sure, because I just did it then, that your star unit are all facing the same way with your colours. Don't get doing that, because when you come to put it together, you'll be annoyed with yourself. Unless you want to do that, because you can. There's no rules in quilting and patchwork. You do what you want to do. If you want to turn your stars alternate ways, you do it, because it'll give your quilt a different look. And this is the beauty of patchwork. You can always just tweak it a little bit to make it suit your taste. You know, you might not want a yellow background, you might want a cream background if you've got cream in your stash, or I'm sure Natasha's got creams on her website. Buy yourself a ½ metre of cream and change it round.
We are a word on that, actually, because at the moment there are only a few fabrics that we offer as a cut to order service. Mm-hmm. However, it is something that we are planning to bring in very soon. We just needed to get staff.
I was going to say, it's one thing saying, oh yeah, we'll do that, but then if you've got to stand there until 3 o'clock in the morning cutting ½ metres of fabric, it's not much fun.
So yeah, so at the moment and so if you do, there are some of the fabrics that we offer are cut to, like the caifs and stuff like that are cut to order. They just take longer because they're done elsewhere and then sent in, because we just don't have the manpower here to do it. But if it's something like the ½ metre heavens, they're already cut by us, but here, because we know we can do it in advance of selling it, so we know where we're at. It's a logistical nightmare, let me tell you.
We do have to remember that, you know, you're a new business, aren't you? You're learning all the time.
And over half of the time since we've been up and running has been spent in lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah, because you only started in January. We're only on month 8.
I know. I have to remember that, and half the time I've been horribly understaffed because of the virus. So we're getting there, and all of the plans are there and in place, and it's very exciting. The plans that we've got for the next year are incredibly exciting. So watch this space.
Yeah. So we've got those 2 units. We're now going to turn that one around. And because we press towards that plain fabric, I'm calling it plain fabric, I'm aware it's not plain, but I mean the single block of fabric. Press your seam towards that fabric because there's less bulk by doing that. And because we've done that on both, we can nestle that seam when we come to join those 2 together. On your star blocks, if I can just lift that up to be a close-up.
Oh, yes. I'm on it. There we go.
Because we've cut this using the ruler, we've got that 1/4 inch seam allowance anyway when we tweaked it up against the trim bit there. It gives you that 1/4 inch. But on the back here, you've got an X marks the spot type seam thing going on. If I lift that way, maybe that's it. With your line of stitching. So you want to make sure your seam goes on the other side towards the cut edge, so that you don't lose the point of your star. You can pin it. I recommend probably that you do in the first few blocks just so that you get a feel for it and you know that it's all lined up.
I am loving the versatility of that fabric, I have to say.
You've got 3 fabrics in one there, really.
You have, haven't you? You really
because
have.
you've got so many different design options that you can choose. You can have some really good fun fussy cutting that fabric. And the colours are just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. And we'll just unpick that seam up to that seam line just so that we can do that little twiddle bit on the back.
Oh, we do like the little twiddle bit.
I love it because it just makes such a difference to the flatness of your block, which when you're making the patchwork you think, well, what's the point? But when you come to quilt it, you've got less bulk to seam over, stitch over rather, not seam over, but you know what I'm saying.
I hear you, I hear you.
And there you go, that's your block.
It's beautiful. I'm really, really taken with that.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Really taken with it, yeah.
It's really lovely. And that, fussy cutting that stripe, when we put those together, because when you come to make your quilt, you're going to put it together in rows, so you'll get different shape. When you get the next one next to that, you're going to get a lovely... you could maybe even think about twisting your block so that they're all going the same way, Jane, not the other way, opposite ways, never mind.
It's a design choice. Jane, it's a design choice.
But again, it will give you a different effect. I'm just going to seam these two together and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll probably get a sort of woven effect.
And this is the beauty of fabric, is that you can play and create all sorts of different things. When I first saw that fabric, I had assumed that the tile would be the flowers. And so this, I hadn't even thought about using those stripes to weave, which is effectively what you're doing.
Yeah.
Give a woven effect. Oh, nice. Nice.
When you come to make the quilt top, you'll do 2 of your blocks together in a row of 2. And you'll do that twice, so you'll have 2 rows of 2 blocks, and then you'll have a row of 3 blocks.
Nice. Nice, nice.
Because we've put these blocks on point, you'll get that effect. And then if you can see now, because we've gone differently with those stripes, you've got a real...
Oh, that's good. Proper psychedelic.
So proper psychedelic, it going in other ways. If you can't bear that and you want your stripes to go all the same way, just think about it when you're putting your blocks together.
This is where having a quilt wall
really
pays off,
yeah, because you can pop it on before you even start sewing a seam, just to make sure.
We still have some of the quilt wall for sale by the metre.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so normally quilt walls, the K Facet quilt wall, is only sold in pre-cut amounts. Mm-hmm. I've got it on a roll.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, so you can have it as big as you want.
Exactly that. It's 44 inches wide, and then it's for sale by the metre, so you can then put a seam down and it's,
brilliant.
So I did that because so many people were saying it's not big enough. Mm-hmm. It's not big enough. I need to buy at least 2. So that's why I've done it. So do have a look on the website. I think we've still got some there. Let me just check. Bear with me, caller. Bear with me. Emma's loading the quilt wall now. Let me just see. So when she says she's loading it, what she means is that she's loading it so that if you want to catch up on the website, or if you go to the website and you're watching via the website, underneath where you can watch us live, all of today's products are there.
Brilliant.
So if you're looking for the panda purple, or the purple panda, or whatever we've called it, then it's underneath where we're live on the website, which is fabulous, darling.
Brilliant. So from your main fabric, you're going to have to cut 2, it's in the instructions, Jane, read the instructions. you're going to have to cut 2 squares from that main fabric, and you're going to have to cut one at 12 and 5/8 to make one. What I've done is I've said cut the strip at 12 and 5/8, cut 1 square from that strip, and then trim it down, that strip, remaining strip, to 12 1/4 and cut 2 squares from that.
Do you know what would be fabulous at that point? Is the itty bitty Creative Goods ruler once you start getting into the 5/8 and everything.
But you've got that on your big ruler. You'll have that 1/8 mark on there.
You do, but if
I've got the itty bitty here.
Oh, you've got it there.
But of course you're going to have, when you're cutting a big piece that's bigger than the width of your ruler, use your mat. So if I'm cutting a big piece, I'll just take this. I'm not going to cut it, but I'm just going to show you what you would do. So you've got your width of fabric, and you want to cut, let's say we're going to be cutting the 12 and 5/8. Line up, you'll trim this so it's nice and straight. Line it up on your mat against the 0 mark. Line your fold of your fabric up with one of the lines on your mat, the horizontal lines. Look where the 12 is, and take your ruler and 5/8, this is all in 8s, so we go across to 5/8, and we place that 5/8 mark on that 12 line, and then we can cut up there.
So there's always a way.
There's always a way of doing it, because sometimes you'll get your ruler and you're like, how am I going to cut that bigger piece? It doesn't work out. These itty bits are brilliant because they've got all the markings for the 8s on there. So down here I've got the 5/8 little diamond that says 5/8 in there.
It takes the risk factor out.
It does. It does. If you haven't got the itty bitty 8s ruler, which is fantastic, but if you've got just your ordinary ruler, and I can't see one off the top of my head, Natasha, but
that's because I've got the itty bitty ruler.
You will have an 8th mark on your ruler.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can get a post-it note and you can just pop it.
Or some washi tape or something.
Or something like that on that mark so that you can see it straight away without thinking, oh gosh, have I got it in the right place? Before you even put it on your mat to start cutting, just find it, mark it in some way, bit of sticky tape, masking tape, whatever you want to do. And then you'll be straight away, you'll see it. Because once you've got it on your fabric and maybe you've got a pattern fabric and you think, oh God, where was it? And you have to then start counting. And then the next time you put it on, you might forget and you might just move it slightly. So you will cut from your patterned fabric 12 and 5/8 strip. From that strip, cut 1 12 and 5/8 square. And then trim it back down to 12 1/4, which is a bit easier to remember, and make 2 squares from that.
Cool.
The 12 and 5/8 you're then going to cut into 4 through the both diagonals, and you only need 2 of those triangles, and you will sew one of the triangles onto the top of each of the 2 blocks sewn together. So you've got a big triangle going on here. On the top of there you will have a triangle. It'll be the patterned fabric, not the plain. But you will sew it like that. So you've got this straight line going up like that.
Nice.
Okay. So you take one of those rows and you place it so that the triangle is at the bottom, like so. And you'll take your 3 rows of blocks and you'll sew them so that the blocks are level at the top. So you've got your 3 blocks here, 1, 2, 3, and you'll sew all the way down there. You'll take your other row of 2 and you'll turn it the other way, and you'll got down here, you'll have the 3 row here of blocks. So you'll have 2 blocks and a triangle, 3 blocks, and then this row, this top bit here will be level with the 2 blocks there. 1, 2, so it will look like that. That'll be the 2, that'll be the 3. and you'll sew all the way down here. So it looks like
it's on point.
It's on point. So once you've done that, the 2 1/4 inch squares, you're going to cut both of those in half along one diagonal. And they become your corners then. You'll
nice.
sew that to there, on that one, press it away, and then sew the next one on this side. Flip it round and do the same. So they're there.
Perfect.
You then cut your border from whatever fabric you fancy. I quite fancy that stripe. Sew the top and the bottom on first, and then sew the sides on.
So we've been super generous with the fabric allowances on this. On the pattern fabric, you've got a metre and a half in there to allow for whatever fussy cutting
you want to do.
You wanted. We added in an extra 1/2 metre to allow for that.
Yeah.
So there's we like wiggle room, don't we, Jane?
We certainly do. So in the pattern, this border is 4 1/2 inches. So that will be the 4 1/2 inches. And again, you can fussy cut that from your fabric. If you want to cut it from width of fabric, you're going to get a really interesting, from that other fabric, you're going to get a really interesting flower, stripe, flower, stripe, flower.
Which is, again, going to look like you've done more than you've done.
Yeah, because it'll look like patchwork.
It's like some of the cave quilts, and you look at them when he uses his stripes, his stripe fabric, and you think that looks really complicated, and it's just the fabric that he's used.
You can get such a lovely effect with stripes, cutting them on the bias or all sorts of things.
The regimental stripe quilt in the book with the circles. It's beautiful.
It's amazing.
Now, a quick note actually on Kaif's signed copies that we have for you, Quilts in Brano. This is the last day of having your postage given back to you for that. So if you're buying it today with something, then we will give you your £3.95 postage back.
Cool.
Just as a little special offer from us to you. So I've got a few of the signed copies left, and then when they're gone, they're gone. I can't get. Kaif only signed a certain number, and I managed to get hold of some.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
And we're just waiting for the last of those to come in, and then they can be posted out. Hooray!
Lovely,
lovely.
I think this unit is very versatile, because you can turn it the other way as well, so you could have all the points going in.
Yes, I did that with some William Morris fabric when I demoed it, and it was gorgeous.
It gives you another
effect. I couldn't decide which way.
You could use a block on its own, like that, and do it in, have one row with them all facing left, and then the next row with them all facing right.
It's one of those things that once you get it...
And you start playing with it.
Yes. You're going to need more fabric.
You are. You definitely are.
Let's be honest.
I can't tell you, because I'm a little bit, I don't need a ruler for that. I'll be honest. I'm like, I don't need a ruler for that. I can make templates, or I can cut that with an ordinary ruler.
You're a make, do, amend sort, aren't you? Don't need that yet.
Don't need all these gadgets and stuff. But I tell you, I fell in love with that kitty ruler. What have I done with it now? Where's it gone?
We will be frisking you on your way out.
Anyway, yeah. But I did. I fell in love with it. It made life so much easier. It's the attention to detail.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It just makes it easier
that little nub corner there for cutting the rectangles into triangles.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, it takes all that maths out. And this little detail here for clipping your corner.
Perfect.
It just makes the construction of the block so much easier and so much quicker.
Of course it does. Of course it does. It's a fab little ruler to have. I'm a big fan of creative grids, as everybody
I love creative grids. Yeah, I do.
And it's the fact that they make life easier, and it saves you time, which ultimately saves you money. It saves you fabric because you don't miscut.
Yeah, well, we won't go into that.
Less. You miscast less, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't actually miscut the block, did you?
No.
You just did it.
I just did it too big.
Yeah, which you can.
Which
trim
is
back.
fine when it's too big because you can cut it down. But it wasn't till I'd made 4 and thought, hang on, this is too big. But there you go.
Right, Jane, I have an update on our subscription situation.
Oh, cool.
So, because we haven't done a subscription before, we have to jump through lots of bank-based hoops.
Yes.
Because when you subscribe, it will sign you up for the 8 months as we have detailed, because obviously there will be some times when you will have more fabric than you've paid for, but it all evens out in the end, etc., etc. So it basically works out like a direct debit, and it stops after 8 months. So because this is the first time, the bank is making us jump through many hoops.
Well, we've got to be safe, haven't we?
Well, we have.
You know.
It's really important, and we want to do this right.
Yes.
So they are they're on the final approval leg. And that hopefully should be approved tomorrow.
Cool.
And then what we will do is we will send out a subscription email to everyone. And now that you've seen, should we get that quilt down and you can floof it about a bit?
It's pinned together at the moment because
that's okay.
The middle bit I started, but I didn't quite get the rest of the block.
No, that's okay.
Nearly done all the blocks.
Floof.
Let's move these out of the way.
So if you are looking at this quilt and saying yes, the fabric's here, we've got that bit.
This isn't the complete quilt. It will have borders and other bits on it. And we've got sort of 4/5 of it here, of the middle. That's the middle block there. That's block 1. That's what we're going to start with. And then we'll do so many blocks each month. And you'll know, I'll tell you how many blocks you're going to need.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
All the instructions for each block will be there.
So I think the best way to do it is, if you've decided that this is the quilt that you want to make in these colours, then when you get your subscription email sent to you, then click on the link and go and subscribe. It will take your first payment, and as soon as we receive that, then we know how many people we are sending out to. And then by September, when we're ready to go, what we will have for you, you will have been sent it, and then you can either quilt along with Jane, or as soon as the show's over, you'll be ready to go. You won't then have that delay of waiting for your fabric to arrive. It will be there ready for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing to bear in mind with it, I don't know, I've completely forgotten what I was saying.
I think we might be limited to start with. That's not to say that we won't catch up with it. But my first order of the fabric, we might have oversubscribed, which isn't the end of the world because we can get more fabric, I hope. I'm waiting for a message.
No.
We will keep you informed along the way. We're learning, I'm learning more than anybody about this process. It's all new to me. So bear with us, be patient. We will try to fulfil all of the subscriptions the best we can.
Well, we won't. We will cap the subscriptions to what we can fulfil.
Yes.
Anything above that we have fabric-wise will be put up for sale as one-offs. But we won't be able to guarantee that you will always be able to get the whole quilt that way. So if you want to guarantee the entire quilt and every block, then subscription is the way to do that, and we will guarantee that, because we will only put up what we have.
Yes.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
But all of this will be detailed in your email. Now, here's the thing. If you don't subscribe to www.natashamakes.com, you won't get that email.
No.
So that was the point I completely forgot about.
Subscribe too.
Go onto the website www.natashamakes.com. If you don't subscribe to all of our emails, then you won't get it. Go on there, subscribe. It'll come up on your screen as, would you like to subscribe to Natasha Makes email? Say yes, please. Put in your email details and we will send them over to you. Or failing that, once the subscription is on the website up and running, then you will be able to subscribe directly from the website. But obviously those who have had the email will first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to make it in this gorgeous colourway...
What's wrong with you?
Yes. Are you mad? There will be the option of the pattern on its own.
Judy says, can you subscribe for the pattern only? Judy, the pattern will be available every month. That's not so. The pattern subscription wise isn't a problem because I can print off more. I can simply print off more.
Yeah.
We hadn't considered doing the subscription for the pattern only.
I don't think you need to, do you, really?
No, we can just send that out to you. That's
we can
no
do
problem.
that.
But it will be available by itself each month. Susan says it makes sense. There's one person says it makes sense.
That's good.
Hooray!
One person thinks they will be fine.
So there we go. And we will make sure, keep an eye on social media. We will send you emails to keep reminding you, because obviously it's slightly different times now, slightly different day for block of the month.
Yes.
Because we had to change that to suit everybody. We asked you and you told us.
Are we going with the first Wednesday of every month? But in September, are we on what date? Are we the second Wednesday?
Second, yeah.
Second Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, and that's just because I already had a prior one-day special at Hochanda, which was CAFE, and I couldn't change it.
And I'm sorry, because some of you may have tuned in today thinking we were going to do the block of the month, and I'm sorry we didn't, but it was just the times we're in, the fabric hadn't arrived, and I didn't want to start doing something and then let people down, so we're waiting until the fabric is definitely here. But it should be here tomorrow. Oh,
Elizabeth says, I thought it costs to subscribe to a website in the beginning. It may be worth mentioning subscribing to your website is free. Yeah. Oh, I don't charge you to subscribe. I'm going to send you an email for free. That's absolutely fine. So yeah, absolutely. If you don't subscribe to the Natasha Makes website, please do. That is completely free. And then you'll be able to know what we have coming up on the shows. If it's fabric that you like, if it's something that you fancy, then do that and have a look. But this is the quilt. The quilt that Jane has in front of her is the one that, as of September, we will be making. And I just think that's the centre block.
See that centre bit.
And you can see this isn't completely finished.
This is just, well, 4/5 of the quilt top. But you can see the middle bit. That's the first block. That's block one. This gorgeous fabric here is going to be part of the border, and it's up. You can't see it here really, but it's gorgeous.
Close up, Jane. Close up. Come on. We can always get a shot. No, the middle, the fabric. There we go.
Can you see it?
It's like an underwater.
Marble. Yeah, it's like a marbly effect. But it's got all these beautiful sea colours in it.
Have you ever dove? Have you ever dived?
No, it's something I'd like to have a go at.
That.
I've done a bit of snorkelling, but got a bit overwhelmed with it and had to quickly put my head above the water because I was like, I can't breathe and look at the things at the same time.
Breathe and look, multitasking. What's going on?
But yeah.
No, it's a bit like that. It's a bit like a wonderful underwater world.
Definitely.
Maybe we should have called it the Atlantis quilt or something.
Maybe.
No, but I love your name. Right, everybody, thank you for watching today. I hope that's clear. Because this is our first ever subscription, we want to get it right. And if that takes an extra couple of weeks, then we do it right.
Keep asking us. If you've got queries, keep asking us because we'll try and answer. And it might bring up something that we didn't think of. So, it helps us as well. We're all new to this and it's, we'll get through it and we'll deliver you the best service possible.
No, see, there you go. Linda says, I love the quilt, but would use lilac blends. So there we go.
Yeah.
So you are someone, Linda, that maybe would want to just buy the pattern then. That's fine. Geraldine says, what ruler do I need for the new quilt starting in September?
Just an ordinary one.
Geraldine, I salute you. Yes. I think you have more creative grids than I do, bless you. For which we love you very, very much. Right. Linda says it's absolutely gorgeous. Definitely subscribing. Can't wait. We can't wait either. Thank you ever so much for tuning in today. I hope it's become a little bit clearer as to what's happening, but the beauty of it is it now gives us the chance when you subscribe to get it out so that you can quilt along with Jane, and the only way that we could do that was to do it this way round, which is why we've done it. So there we go. Alrighty everybody. Susan, she's ahead of the game. I love this. I love this about you lot. Have a box ready to keep it all together.
Brilliant.
I like the fact it's pre-ordered.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a lot of labelling with this one.
Yeah.
Keep yourself organised.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Have your sticky labels ready.
and a block of the month box. I think it's a
definitely.
very good idea. Right, you lovely people, we are going to say goodbye for today. Subscribe to the website, www.natashamakes.com. And then we can send you the email with all of the subscription details, but I will keep reminding you. And also bear in mind today, if you want the face masks, I'm down to the last 40, I think, Creative Grid face mask, and also I am down to the last of the signed copies of the K Facet quilts in Burano, and that's the thing. So I will be bringing you the quilt kits in the book, but the instructions are in the book. You need the book to do any of those quilts. So if you think there might be a quilt in there, then grab it. And
how much is the book?
The book is $24.99, and I will give you back your postage. I will not take the price of the book down.
And
because the book is brand new.
Are
there 19? I want to say.
Wow.
Something like that.
That's really good value for money.
It's incredible. It is incredible, and it's
for
a
that many
table
quilts,
book
that's
and
fantastic.
everything else.
Yeah.
It's something like, I can't remember off the top of my head, and it's over the other side of the room.
No,
but when you get it, you will love it. And then you can let me know which quilts you want me to stock, and I will have those quilt kits for you.
Wonderful.
All right, my loves. Thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of the day, and we will. I will see you on Monday next week, and I can't wait to show you. But I'm going to keep it a little secret so that it goes out in a newsletter.
Ooh, exciting.
All right then, Jane, wave goodbye for me.
Bye bye. See you next time.
Bye bye.